Hi guys, welcome back again. Sorry it took me some longer, but I was busy myself. But today I'm gonna start with my tutorials on SQL Server, Flow, PowerApps, and using the template and see how it works in reality. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna have a Power App. From our template, we're gonna use Flow as an interface between our data source and PowerApps, and we're gonna use SQL Server. In this case, I'm gonna do an Azure database. And I ain't gonna show you how to build an Azure database. You can then go to, for example, a video from Shane Young. Probably you know him when you are learning Power Apps, and he has a video on creating your own Azure subscription and your first server. So it worked for me, so probably you will learn it from this. It's not very complicated. So I'm gonna use Azure, but in reality, when I build my Power Apps, mostly there is an on-premise application with an SQL Server or any other kind of databases, and we're gonna build it on that. And what we are going to build, let's go to another screen. Basically, we're gonna build something on top of the business application, and when I do that on-premise, and I know it can be done in Azure, but I'm relatively new in SQL Server databases, you can just make a new database. So in an on-premise environment, I make a database for my solution. And basically there are small solutions. So when we see that, we're gonna make a registration application. So I'm just gonna make a new database and get some views from the business application and then add some tables. And in this case, we're gonna build just a few tables and we're gonna make our solution work. So when I then have another solution, I make another database. So when I want to add something to the registration, I use that. But when I want to do something on invoicing or whatever kind of process needs that, I'm gonna build a small database for just that process. Because else, when I use the same views and the same store procedure and everything in SQL Server, and I have to change something from one application, my other application will break. So I don't like that. I like to separate them and know where I'm working at. So when I look at this, the registration application, I first go to the business application and get some views, and that can be on accounts, on projects, on contracts, and everything we have in the business application, which is running already and which comes off the shelf and works perfectly for most of the processes in the company. So why get another application when you just can build something on top of it which suits your needs with Power Apps and use the rest, which is working pretty well, I think. So in the registration application, we're going to build some tables, and I'm going to give you the script for this so you can create it on your own. You're going to see that in the description, and you can follow along these tutorials. So it's very easy to do, and it's going to work basically. So what I sometimes do, I say I have a registration application and I want to write something back to the business application, or right away, or maybe one time a week, or on a specific thing what happens. So then I'm gonna use a store procedure on the business application, and I'm gonna add some parameters to store my information back to the application. It's also fairly easy, and sometimes I have like a third-party application which is basically put there to do this kind of things, probably from a web servers or a web store which is already there, and I'm just gonna use the same structure, and I'm just gonna put my parameters from Power Apps and from my database to the process that is already in place. And I always look at that kind of processes which are already in place to use them for my application, because I don't have to build them myself, and the logics and all the controls are already in place. And I think that is better than to start thinking of another way to do things which are already done by somebody else. So that's my idea. So basically I'm going to use an application, and when we do this on an SQL Server, we can make a new database. If we do that on Azure, we can do it also, but I don't know yet how to do this because I'm fairly new to SQL and I do a lot of things, but I can't do anything on this moment, but I will learn in time. But what we're going to do in this tutorial is basically very simple. It's easy to do, it's not difficult, everybody can follow, and it's very easy even for somebody with no experience on SQL at all. So I think so. So when we look at PowerApps, normally at PowerApps, when you build a solution from scratch or when you let PowerApps generate a solution, you have to give a data source, and PowerApps is then connected directly to the tables, and you patch and you collect and you do all kinds of things. But probably I think I don't like it. I don't like my solution to be connected right to the database and to the tables there. So we ain't gonna use it here. No, what we're gonna do, we're gonna use Flow, and Flow is gonna be your interface to SQL Server, and from PowerApps we're gonna put a question to Flow with some parameters, and then Flow is gonna go on to the database, and we only gonna use store procedures there. So in Flow we gonna use the SQL connector, but only store procedure, and in the store procedures, which is basically like how do you say, like a sequence of actions you say to SQL Server, you have to do that. You have to get some records, you have to post something, you have to update a record, and you have to do 3-4 things after each other and then give me back the new records which I want to store in PowerApps. So we're gonna do a sequence of actions there through store procedures, and we're gonna centralize it there, and then the tables are called or are updated from our store procedure. You're gonna see it's basically very easy, and it's very easy to do. And probably we're gonna make some views at the SQL side, because when we want to show historic information, views are great, because we can make a view on all the registration in the future and then sort it there. And when we do that kind of things like history, it's not the core business from the app. So it's okay to have it a little bit smaller, and you have to load data when they select something, and it's not just right away available for the user. It doesn't have to be very fast because it's history and you ain't gonna use it every day. So we're gonna use views for that because it's easy, and I'm gonna show you how to do this. Now, when we look at the database, we have the customer business application, and then we have basically 5 tables extra, which of 4 are relation tableships or dim tables, as you like to call them, whatever. And we have 1 fact table, and the fact table is the core of our application, and there we're gonna do our registrations in. And the other tables are just to support our registration and to put in the right information in our SQL Server. Gonna be simple, really. So let's go to our SQL Server, and you see I make the table already, but here I have a script, and here you see create a database. So what you have to do is to open this file, and you can get it from a link in the description. Then go to your database if you made it, and then go to the master, and then say this part selected without the two minus signs, and just put F5 to run the script, and your database will be created. Then stand somewhere here and execute, or put F5 again, and then your table is going to be created. And what is going to be created is the customer BA table. We have some 50 clients because we want some dummy data. We have registration types and some values there. We have to work, home, travel, visit, or other as a destination. We have our registration type. We have some destination type. When we're traveling, we want to go home, or we want to go to a visit, or to others, to another thing. Because why other? It's because we can't think of everything we have to do. Maybe 80-90% is just default. It's just home visit or something else you want to register. But you can't get 100% is my opinion. So you have to get the 80-90%, which everybody does every time, every day, and then have some other or some notes for things what doesn't match the 90%. And then on the 10-20% you have to make a workaround. You have to do something like a user have to do something manual, because it's not profitable to do everything. You can't do anything, everything, and you have to remind that you can do 80-90% automated, but the 10% 20% has to be done with a user or somebody who knows what to do when something is different. It's easy. And maybe at the second part you say, okay, we have 20% of our work is different, and 80% of that is also a little bit the same, or between parameters. And then you can say, okay, is that enough and profitable enough to make a solution for that, or a side solution? That's the way I think to it. When you try to get 100% right in one app, it's gonna cost too much and it ain't gonna work for the user. So basically, don't do it. That's my idea. So we have some user roles, we're gonna have some users, and we gonna have a registration table. So it's very basic what we're gonna do. We have some tables and we're gonna build on that. And so when we select this, we have just some destination types we're gonna use. Easy as that. And I think I added here that I make it an extra line active, and that's why, because I want to be able to control what I'm gonna show to the customer. So when it's active, I want to show it, but I don't want to delete it, because earlier information can be connected to something which is inactive. So you're gonna see an extra line here. Okay, this is the database we are gonna use. So if you have that, you can go to the next video, and in the next video we gonna make our first logic and use our first flow and get our information back to PowerApps, and we're gonna do that on start of the application. But what I said earlier in my videos, we ain't gonna use the onStart parameter for that. We're gonna go do that on the onVisible and use our events, because basically it's information maybe we want to get later on also from our app, and then when we put it in the onStart parameter, it's not smart. So I'm gonna show you that in the next video, and I hope to see you there. And if you like these tutorials, please subscribe so you get an announcement when I post a new video. Okay, thanks for watching. See you in the next video.